In addition to Mrs. Jelenkosi, we have now the distinct honor of welcoming Ms. Urška Klakočar Zupančič, President of the National Assembly of the Republic of Slovenia, to our gathering today. Please.
Esteemed CPC President, Mr. Schumi, Mr. Migaud, unfortunately, the Minister of Justice is not here today, so I'm welcoming the State Secretary, Mrs. Jelenkosi, and distinguished guests. Allow me to start by thanking you for inviting me to speak at today's event, organized by the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, whose role as an independent state body has become increasingly visible, with the CPC being recognized as an important partner in helping improve public integrity and in the fight against undue influence in Slovenian society. The consistent application of the principle of legality, professional and responsible behavior, and making morally correct decisions by officials and public employees strengthen the sense of security and personal trust in the public sector among people. When this kind of principled action embodying a high level of integrity is exercised by every individual, not just leaders, statesmen and officials, it leads to state bodies and institutions producing higher quality work. Above all, it strengthens people's trust in the work of these institutions and bodies. Public integrity is therefore one of the cornerstones of a stable social system, especially because we live in times marked by multi-faced and complex global social challenges, including those related to the development of social networks. By generating a flood of information, these networks cause people to pay less attention, while the lightning speed and availability of information can be misused to manipulate the truth and abuse trust in the service of private interests. In this way, powerful, rich individuals and interest groups, both at home and abroad, can unduly influence the actors of leading politicians and officials, and even public opinion. Some of these campaigns to influence society and leading politicians with the aim of favoring private interests can be linked to Cambridge Analytica. Their actions are supposed to have even influenced the outcomes of elections around the world, which in turn can ultimately lead to the misuse of public funds for the private benefit of a minority instead of the welfare of everyone. These events should serve as a stark reminder of the importance of strengthening public integrity and the fight against undue influence in democratic systems, where every individual has the right and opportunity to participate in socially important decisions, and where the dignity, rights, and freedoms of every citizen are respected. The moment civil servants or officials, either elected or appointed, give priority to partial or private interests over the needs of the wider population, be it as a result of their own decisions or undue influence, they begin to undermine the essence of the idea that these representatives of the people are responsible to their citizens and voters. When public institutions or individuals succumb to the undue influence of corrupt practices, their actions trigger the erosion of public integrity, which in turn undermines the rule of law as a whole. An example of foreign influence on the democratic processes of the European Union is the Qatargate affair, a political scandal in which officials and members of the European Parliament were allegedly unduly influenced by the governments of Qatar and Morocco. The scandal also implicated one of the vice presidents of the European Parliament, despite the extremely high salaries in this EU institution. The public and institutional integrity of the European Parliament was only saved thanks to the quick, decisive and unified response of the EU Parliament, which adopted the decision to remove the Vice President with 625 voters in favour and one vote against. This sent a clear message to the world that European Union institutions remain firm and united in their actions and most importantly, preserve the high level of people's trust in EU institutions. Slovenia, unfortunately, cannot boast such high percentages of trust, since past governments were tainted by an arbitrary interpretation of the rule of law and the responsible trampling of fundamental human rights, resulting in a significant loss of public trust in the long run. With each new election, institutions strive to restore their credibility, and a significant milestone attained by the National Assembly on this path is undoubtedly the adoption of the 2020 Code of Ethics for Deputies, an achievement that can also partially be attributed to the years of calls and recommendations made by the CPC. The Code of Ethics not only set the standards for protecting the public integrity of the National Assembly, but also sent a message to the public that their democratically elected representatives can transcend political divisions and distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, between ethical and unethical practices, and that violations will be appropriately sanctioned, hopefully. However, merely adopting the Code of Ethics is not enough. It also needs to be respected and put into practice, which has not yet fully been. After leading the current term of the National Assembly for over a year, I can confidently say that the level of ethical culture and the integrity of the deputies have significantly improved. Ladies and gentlemen, everyday efforts and events like the one today are of utmost importance when it comes to shining a light on preserving public integrity, as well as for protecting the very foundations of democracy in which our society stands. Allow me to conclude by quoting the timeless wisdom of Martin Luther King Jr. "The time is always right to do what is right." Thank you for your attention. I wish you all a productive debate. Thank you.
I would like to express our sincere appreciation to Ms. Klakočar Zupančič for her enlightening opening speech. Her instrumental role in shaping legislative policies and upholding democratic values is indeed deeply appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in thanking Ms. Klakočar Zupančič and Mrs. Jelen Kosi, as they have to both leave today's event due to other obligations.